Wednesday, third day into March. It's the year is marching by, should I say? That's a bad joke, isn't it? But it's good to have you with us. And also, I'm very pleased to welcome our guest this lunchtime, Simon Washburn from Popcorn. Hi, Simon. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm good, thanks, mate. You?
Yes, it's good to have you back. You're a familiar face. You've joined us a couple of times, but we're going to do something a bit different this lunchtime. For those of you who are joining us, you'll join us before. You'll know on Mondays we do more educational starts. On Wednesdays we like to delve a bit deeper with some of our guests and find out a bit about their business journey, in particular how they've survived and also maybe pivoted their business over the last 12 months and what they've done, what strategies they've used to get through these lockdown, these difficult 12 months that we're now coming out of. But before we ask Simon some tasking questions, first of all, just want to say if this is your first time, please do like, comment and share. We're broadcasting both on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Tell us where you're listening from. We'd love to know how far we're reaching this lunchtime. And if you have any questions at all for myself or Simon, then please do put them in the comments box. And even if you're listening to us later on in the day, we'll make sure we do reach out to you and respond. So we've got Simon Washburn from Popcorn Customer Acquisition. Simon, it's great to have you with us. Do you want to just introduce yourself, tell us a bit about what you do at Popcorn?
Yeah, so hi there. Hello. I'm the founder of Popcorn. I came up with the concept of it several years ago. We relaunched all the software two and a half years ago. What the software is, it's just really simple to use software that kind of brings all the essential bits of tools you need into one place. So that's everything from like CRM, email marketing, sales pipelines, web tracking, lead generation. And we just bring it all together so you kind of don't miss out on any of the golden nuggets which normally fall through the gaps. So
brilliant. So it's a great way to organize all those prospects to make sure you're making the best use of that opportunity and not missing anybody. So I'm sure we'll learn a bit more about that in a moment. But what I'd love to do, Simon, is just talk a bit about you. I mean, before we go on to you, actually, Popcorn, I think, is an award-winning bit of software. Is that right?
It is, yes. We've got through to the finals of the GBA, the Great British Entrepreneurial Awards, which is a big awards. We've got through to there the last 2 years. So we're very proud of that. Last year was for innovation. And this year we won another award for, I'm glancing at this, I'm just reading the name of it. But we've got another innovation award this year from the Dyslexia Awards. So yeah, doing quite well at the moment.
Brilliant. Well, sincere congratulations for all the awards. And I'm sure it's the first of many that are going to come your way for the brilliant software that you've got. But what I want to do today, Simon, is start off just by talking about you. So tell us a bit, before Popcorn, what was your background? Where did you come from? Are you Birmingham born and bred?
Yeah, so my history in a nutshell, I'm from the Midlands region. For the local people, I class myself as a yam. For those that don't know that, I'm from the Black Country originally, just near to Stourbridge. But I've sort of ventured over to Birmingham city centre now. My background in history, sort of in a nutshell, really is I kind of started off not really wanting to go things. I've always been creative. So I actually started with something quite unusual, really. I was actually in the world of fashion and textiles. So I went through and started a master's in that, realized that it wasn't a fit for me. And as we're doing all the work in the fashion and textiles, they kind of taught us all about how to become a marketeer. And from that point on, I then worked for some leading brands, so companies such as Anglepoise, and I ended up my sort of professional corporate career working for BMW, a division of BMW Group, doing CRM integration and the marketing over there. So it's been a good journey. I then set up myself as a design and marketing agency where we worked with small business, and it kind of went from there, realizing this is what small businesses actually need to grow their business and what they actually want and what's on offer to them, to the point where I went, I just need to develop a piece of software myself. And that was where Popcorn came from, really.
I always love these lunch and learn chats, Simon, because there's always a bit of information that I don't know about somebody that sort of fits things into place, and it's what I call a blinding flash of the obvious in business. That BFO moment. And of course, you love textiles. I mean, every time I see you, I've seen your crushed velvet suits and various other outfits you've worn when we've been meeting face to face before lockdown. But that makes complete sense now that you worked in the textile industry and the fashion industry before coming into Popcorn. So yeah, absolutely, I love those little nuggets of information that put in to fill the gaps in my knowledge of people. But so you talked about working for BMW Group, and you talked about a bit about, or just sort of whizzed over working, with a small business and wanting to really understand how they manage their prospects. Is that right?
Yeah, so we started off when I set up on my own, which is scary now. I think
So
about
when was that?
16 years ago.
Right.
So very scary when I think about it.
Let's just pause there for a minute, Simon. You said it was really scary 16 years ago. What made you do it? What was that driving or the trigger point at that point 16 years ago? I mean, you must have been about 12 at the time, but
this is why I say it's scary. So thank you.
but what drove you to say, right, I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to, jump away from the security of being an employee to setting up my own business. What was that moment like, and what was the driver?
I suppose it was just frustration, really. And it was. Don't get me wrong, BMW Group is a brilliant company, but the journey I'd taken. So I'd come, as I mentioned, I came from the fashion textile world, which is very creative, very free, very dynamic. I then worked in a couple of smaller businesses again, which were very dynamic. And then when I got to the point of working for a corporate, which BMW say is a huge organization, there's so many layers and layers and layers, which I'm sure a lot of the listeners will probably relate to. I just wanted to be able to get something done and get stuff done quickly, really. And that's what was one of my kind of major driving forces. And I realized when you're talking to small businesses, they can't actually they need stuff to be done and done now, and they need the results quickly, because what they actually want doesn't matter how you dress it up, really. Every marketing, every engagement they do is usually sales related in one form or another. That's the outcome they want. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
And if I could take you back 16 years as well, Simon, what was that first year like in business?
Oh, it was blinding, I suppose, is the best thing. I suppose the analogy which a lot of people use is the fact that being a business owner, as you all know, it's kind of a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows. But what was the biggest shock for me coming from the corporate world was not having all the support teams around you, and whether it's the accounts team or whether it's sales or marketing or whatever it is, you're there doing it all yourself, and you're on such a steep learning curve throughout it. But I've absolutely loved it. Still, I'm on a steep learning curve now.
Yes, you're the head of marketing, head of HR, the head of finance, the head of fashion, clearly, the head of every department in the business, and there is only you to fall back onto. But equally, there is so much support out there for small businesses. It's just about finding out where that support is.
Yeah, and without trying to sound like a blatant plug for yourselves here, that's where I found that having a business coach makes all the difference. It's having someone to sort of step back and give you that guidance and allow you to have that overview of what you're doing and give you that support.
I think, many of my clients, one of the things they say to me is it's very lonely owning and running your own business at times, and having that support is fantastic. But again, 16 years ago, Simon, what was it? Did you have a really clear road? We've heard this phrase a lot this week, last week, haven't we? The roadmap, but vision of where you wanted to take the business. If you were to think, then 16 years on, is this where you wanted to be, or has it been a bit of you said roller coaster already, but has it been as you thought it would be?
I'm going to lie and say, yes, I had a clear plan, a clear vision from day one. I knew exactly what I was doing. In reality, no. I kind of set up because I knew there was a pain there, whether that was from my perspective or whether it was from a customer perspective. But looking back at it, did I understand what the opportunity was, what my strengths and weaknesses were at that stage? Not really. And I think it does take, with anything, whether you look at it on a personal level or a business level, you've got to find your feet. You've got to find out where you're comfortable in your own skin. And so you go through, you make some mistakes, which everybody does, but you learn from them, and you step forwards. So I would say my clarity has very much come in the last 6 or 7 years, really, of where I want to be. And I've now got a very clear roadmap where I'm going to be in 10 years' time. And
you say that we all make mistakes and learn from them. I say that to my children. Homeschooling, we're in the last week of it, hurrah! But I say to my kids when they're doing their homeschooling, I say there's nothing wrong with the mistakes, because that's how we learn. That's how we move things forwards. When they're doing the maths in particular. But are there any sort of, if you look back over those first few years or first 10 years in business, is there any key moments you'd say that was a pivotal moment, that decision changed my business, or that was a key decision that I would go back and I'd make again, or that was a key decision that I'd absolutely wouldn't make again, Okay,
so There's a couple of points really. One is around you're not the expert of everything. When you set up in business on your own, you kind of think, we think two things. One, I can do it all. And two, I've got to pretend I can do it all and do it all well. So you kind of go there and you work flat out, you try and do the best you can throughout the whole process you're going through. But the key learning I had is, I've got strengths, I've got weaknesses, as everybody has. And so, for instance, we've recently recruited a marketeer into the business. And what I did was I looked at what my strengths were and where I needed gaps filled. So I've now recruited to fill that gap. Mm-hmm. And that would be one, I suppose, is the key learning I've had, is accept where your strengths and weaknesses are, and don't try and fake it. Be open, be honest about it.
Absolutely. I talk to my clients a lot, Simon, about skills and thrills. What are you good at and what do you enjoy doing? And if you don't enjoy doing it and you're not any good at it, get someone else to do it, and value yourself and value your time. Skills and thrills. And a tip for anybody listening, go away and do a bit of a matrix. Think of all the jobs you're doing, all the tasks you've got to do, and just plot them on a skills and thrills matrix. And just, it'll help to identify, perhaps where you need to delegate and what you'd be better off delegating, what you're better off doing yourself in the business.
It's interesting. I do something quite similar. I did that. I mapped out all the tasks I undertake, and I kind of put in a fun, boring. The two categories of fun and boring tasks for me. The fun ones I obviously embrace, and I'll achieve a lot more doing because I really get into them. The boring ones are the ones that I've farmed out, or if I've got to undertake boring tasks, I make sure I've got some fun tasks scattered around them, and it helps keep me a lot more motivated throughout the day.
It reminds me of my days when I worked, not in HR, because I'm not an HR expert, but I worked very closely with an HR team in the local authority I worked in, and we used to call it the bad news sandwich, and there's other words for it as well. But if you've got something bad to deliver, you've got something bad to do, make sure you surround it with some goodness as well, so it makes it easier to swallow.
Very much,
like in the progress we talk here at Action Coach, get those difficult tasks done, those things you've been procrastinating on, get them done first in the day, and then move on and do the nicer things. But Simon, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you mentioned an award earlier on. I think it was the Autism Award. Is that right?
Not autism, Dyslexia Awards.
Dyslexia. My mistake. My apologies. Dyslexia Award. You got it very quickly, and I know that's something you're very proud of, isn't it? Having got your business running and being very successful over 16 years. You just want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm dyslexic. It's something I didn't used to talk about. I used to hide. I used to be embarrassed. Didn't understand it really, because a lot of people, I won't get on a soapbox moment about it, but a lot of people have an assumption around dyslexia and what it is that you can't spell, you can't do whatever it is, and they always talk in the negatives. And something I learned fairly early in setting up on my own is there's an awful lot of positives that come with it. So, and all it is, it's just a different way of thinking and a different way of approaching stuff. So I've kind of embraced it and gone, well, that's talking about exactly what I was talking about earlier, strengths and weaknesses. I know, for instance, I'm really, if I do say so myself, I'm really good at problem solving and thinking big picture, but details perhaps aren't my strongest strength. So we've brought people in where I can sort of pass the details side onto, and I can sort of just get that overview of it and manage it. So the dyslexia side, it's been a huge journey for me, especially when I got this award in December, just gone, to have that acknowledgement and see what we've achieved, and how, as well as that, how our tool actually helps people, whether they've got dyslexia or not, how it just simplifies the process and makes life simpler for people.
Yeah, and I know people who've, well, my son, for example, has got dyslexia, and it's not about can't, isn't it? It's about just finding another way of getting around that challenge. He in particular finds it hard to get his thoughts down in terms of handwriting. Give him a computer, give him a problem to solve, and he absolutely loves it. And everyone has different impacts us all in different ways. But I just wanted to mention that I think it's just really important to encourage people, maybe young entrepreneurs, young people who are thinking about starting their business, or thinking about what can and can't they do when they grow up. And there will be people out there listening to this, and I just think it's really important to encourage them. And congratulations again on that award, Simon. I think it's well deserved, and it's good of you to be able to share that and talk openly about it. I think it's great stuff.
Thank you. If I could just one very quick thing on that level here, and this isn't prepped in my head, so hopefully it'll come across okay. But the thing with dyslexia, if you've got dyslexia, it's a brilliant opportunity to separate your own, because you can dyslexia, depending on the scale of it, and you can do something called quantum thinking, which is why dyslexics typically don't like to work in process, because they can jump up to 4 steps at a time, and they don't realize they've done those 4 steps, but they'll know them. But what that means is you can see the bigger picture and see a solution to something and get from A to Z a lot faster. So setting up your own business is an amazing opportunity to do that and capitalize on it, really.
Well, congratulations on that award. That was December 2020 you had that?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so we talked a bit about 16 years ago. We've talked a bit about what it was like when you set the business up and the challenges and some of your thoughts that were going through the mind. And I just want to bring you up to December 2019. What was the business looking like then? How many employees, or what was it? What was the direction of the business? Was it going? I'm sure it was going well, but tell us a bit about how it looked like before, dare I say, 2020 hit.
Yeah, so it was an interesting time. The software had been relaunched for about a year and a half. The plan was to launch it. We're going to have a very soft launch on the software, or relaunch on the software. And we basically worked with building up advocates, getting some really good case studies behind us, and that sort of stuff for the first 10 months. So in reality, we'd only really been marketing for about a year. And so the platform was growing. We had some nice, comfortable growth in us. And we'd got the platform to a really nice, solid stage. But the team itself was, as you said earlier, I was chief cook, bottle washer, and everything. I did it all. And we had, from a software development point of view, I'm certainly not a coder. I've got the idea, and I was getting a coder to do it. And we had a part-time developer working on the platform, doing 3 days a week. So that's what it looked like in 2019. Just before COVID came in, one of the things we'd identified throughout the whole process was that people weren't understanding the benefit of the platform. So we'd already just about started the process where we were reevaluating our message and looking at how we go to market. And it kind of worked out, if dare I say it, but it kind of worked out perfectly, because when COVID hit, I just went right then and everything shut down. I kind of shut the sales function down completely and put all my time. So I probably spent a good couple of months working on this, 2-3 months. We redeveloped our customer message, and then we rebranded ourselves, spent a whole lot of time building marketing materials, everything, so that we knew that when we came out of lockdown or came close to it, we were ready to drive forwards. And the effect has been amazing. So
did you, sorry to interrupt, did you trade at all in that first period of lockdown, or did you pause?
We traded, carried on trading. We had active customers on the platform, and we still had inbound inquiries coming in.
But you didn't proactively go out to promote?
Yeah, I didn't do any form of sales at all during that period. Right, so if someone came and signed up, they signed up, and it was very nice. We supported them. So we focused on the customer service and marketing side of things. Yeah,
and it's easy to forget in some ways. It's not easy to forget in other ways, but it is a long time ago. And in that first lockdown, there was a lot more uncertainty, a lot more anxiety, wasn't there, for every business owner, for all of us, in terms of the impact and both on our personal health and well-being, but also the health and well-being of our business. And I think you're not alone in terms of just putting things on pause to evaluate exactly where this was going at that time.
Well, I think what it was at the time, I saw it as a huge opportunity. As they say, there's a silver lining. So I thought, now's my opportunity to get all my ducks in line so that we can actually really take off.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I say, there's many business owners I talk to and still work with now, who before that lockdown, Simon, they were saying, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got time to work on the business. And that afforded them that wonderful opportunity, to think, well, actually, what direction do I want to go in? What direction do I need to go in? And to pivot their business, to think, well, do I need to think about putting things online? Do I need to reevaluate my marketing, my delivery strategy, the systems, the people I have working for me? What is it I'm trying to achieve? And it really gave business owners that time to work on the business. It sounds like you really grabbed that with both hands.
Yeah, very much so. So the outcome of that now is we've over doubled the turnover of the business. We've now got, as I said before, as I mentioned, I did everything. We've now got full-time marketeer working for us, and we've got 2 full-time developers working on the platform. And we're expecting in May, going to be launching version 3 of the platform. So it's going to be a huge enhancement of what we've got, whether a lot of stuff under the bonnet, but some new features coming in. It's going to be really exciting times for us in this up and coming year.
So in that, during that first lockdown, so only maybe a bit longer, what exactly did you do? You said the outcome's fantastic, amazing in terms of how it's pivoted the business, but in terms of outcome and sales. But what did you actually do practically on the ground? Was it the marketing messaging? Was it the way you delivered it? Was it the product itself you tweaked? What changes and what did you do?
It was a bit of everything, really. So the foundation of it all was we kind of readdressed our marketing. And I kind of looked at the way I was going about marketing and what I need. So before we very much had an outbound marketing strategy. Where we've moved to, we're moving a lot more inbound now. So we've spent a lot of time producing content. So we've got all the message and the branding to support what people are actually listening and hearing. We've addressed the pains that our customers have got. But we've now started producing so much more content that people are engaging with that, and they then want to they start coming to us, and that's driving a lot more inquiries, or more importantly, when we're actually having a conversation with people, we've then got all supporting stuff, the materials, just so that they actually engage and they understand and get us completely now.
So it sounds like you've made some major changes in the business. And tell me a bit, Simon, because when we first met, you talked a lot about CRM.
Yes.
And that was what Popcorn was all about, and I think is all about in many ways. But over the last few months, you've been changing your letters. You've been mixing your letters up a bit, haven't you? And adding a few different letters into your sales spiel and what exactly you are about at Popcorn and what you deliver and what you can offer. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Is it QRM or ARM? I'm not sure. It's I'm teasing you.
It's PRM.
PRM.
So PRM, for those of you that have never heard of it, it's not a very commonly known term. But when we looked at what Popcorn does, it fits us perfectly. PRM is prospect relationship management. It's what every... Sorry, go on.
No, Jay, for the benefit of our listeners and viewers. So PRM, I guess the starting point is, how does that differ from CRM?
So CRM is this huge beast of a machine. Whether you're looking at bits of software like HubSpot, or some people will be classing MailChimp as a spreadsheet. It covers so many different areas, whether it's managing your contacts, your products, customer service, marketing, all these bits and pieces, but it's a beast of a bit of software. And these big bits of software like HubSpot, they're brilliant, but they're not designed for a small business. Doesn't need all that functionality. PRM is a section of CRM, and it kind of handles the bit which is about how you win more customers. So it's about the journey that a customer takes from being a prospect to becoming a customer. Once they've moved into that, it can still handle good chunks of the bits after, but it really gives you a process and a clear map for how you go on that journey.
So it's that first stage. So before you, it's not before. CRM is customer relationship management. This is prospect relationships. It's that first phase, isn't it?
Yeah. So exactly. So the one thing that we've come up with quite a nice, if I do say, I'm quite proud of it myself. An acronym called PRM now, and it talks you through the 6 steps of what most business owners do, and I'm sure everybody that's listening will relate to this. They stop posting on social media because that's what we do to generate sales, to generate brand awareness. And we know that's the foundation for winning more sales or supporting our sales function. But there's a huge disjoint between people posting and someone actually becoming a customer. And it's actually quite a simple journey that someone needs to go through. So if we would talk around
the process of converting them, isn't it? Getting the prospects into the funnel. And as one of my other lunch and learn guests would always say to me, Simon, he'd always say ABC, always be closing. But it's that process, isn't it, of how you can build that relationship and turn them from a prospect into a client.
Exactly, yeah. And it's really not rocket science. And it's one of the problems we have is that when you don't have a process in place, people fall through the gaps and prospects fall through, and they might be there, you just can't see them. So
yeah, I would agree. And I say, if you haven't got a process in place, how on earth can you improve it? You know, it's about mapping the journey and then looking at how you can, you know, tighten up the timings, the steps, you know, always taking it up a notch. And that's what we talk a lot about here at Action Coach.
yeah, very, very much so. And a lot of people think a process needs to be really complicated, but it doesn't. It's quite simple. So do you want us to kind of go through the 6 steps?
Yeah, that'd be great to hear that. And then we'll come back to your journey in a moment. But yeah, no, absolutely. If you want to share your screen or you just want to talk through it, whatever you want to do, Simon, it'd be...
I talked through it very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
The PRM now is an acronym. So P stands for posting, which is what we've talked about, which is sort of the social media stuff. It's the bits we're already doing at the moment. So we kind of talked you through the sort of how to turn the basic engagement into direct engagement. So it's sort of like the whys, the wheres, the whats, the whens about posting on social media. And we're not experts at this, but we kind of give you a holistic overview of the good behaviors to do. You've then got in that, the next step is react. So the R is react. And that's kind of looking at social media, because an easy way to describe it really is it's a bit like a void. Your posts are very temporary. You put something up there, it disappears in the timeline and it's gone, to all intents and purposes. It's about helping to keep those things, make them more permanent in people's minds. And it talks you the steps about how to start reacting to people and engaging with them. But I think the key thing, well, there's 2 key things at this stage with React is understanding that if someone's liked a post, it doesn't mean they want to buy. But what it is, it's about being able to step them, understand that where there's a buying signal, and when that buying signal there, it's about being able to step them out and have conversations. It's a bit like when we do networking. If you're having a conversation with someone who sort of showed interest, you'll kind of perhaps pull them to the side of the room and so you can have a proper conversation. And that's what the React stage is. It's about being able to separate the warmer prospects away from the cold ones, so you'd be more focused on your time. The next stage is sort of M, which is the manage stage. And that is very much these people that you're identifying. This is where it gets really important. This is where the PRM, the CRM side of it all comes in, because unless you start recording all of that, all these conversations and putting them into a clear sales pipeline, you forget to follow up. And an interesting stat is that a typical established SME will lose £72,000 every year if they don't use any form of CRM or PRM. And that's because they just forget to follow up and they miss opportunities. So it's a huge loss for doing something that's really simple to do.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. So crucial, those steps. And often if there's, you know, as the SME grows and you've got more staff involved, communication, information between different people in the organization can easily get lost, can't it?
Very much so. But also, even if it's just you doing the follow-up and someone in a conversation, somebody says, that'd be great. Can you give me a call in 6 months? If you're keeping it all in your head or you've got it all stored on your phone, whatever it is, and something goes wrong and you forget to follow up, you've lost the opportunity. So just by having that there, and you've got this visualization of where everybody is, it means you can see exactly how many opportunities you've got in 6 months' time, and you know how to nurture them to get them so they're ready for you to have a conversation with them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So we've got posting, reaction, manage, and I think that manage is so important. What comes next?
You've then got nurture, and the nurture bit is kind of related to what I was just saying there. It's about saving you time and effort, because go back to the networking analogy. If you go and you don't walk into a networking room and try and sell to every single person, do you?
Absolutely not. It's about getting to know, like, and trust.
Exactly, yeah, and building relationships up with people. So the people that have said, that sounds great, can we have a chat in 6 months? You don't forget about them for 6 months and then pick the phone and go, hi, do you want to buy my stuff? You nurture them, and it teaches you through the process of how you can actually nurture a person along that journey so that they're warmed up and they're ready to have a conversation with you. So you only focus on the people who are hot prospects.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about those touch points all the way along, isn't it? You know, it's, as you say, you don't sort of, you know, abandon the phone call, abandon the conversation, and in 6 months expect that conversation to pick up where you dropped it off. You know, you absolutely need to nurture and just keep the embers warm of the fire, I guess, is what, you know, a way of describing it, so that when you want to, you know, the fire to be lit again, you're not starting from scratch.
Yeah, and one of the key things about that is you don't just talk to people. So you wouldn't jump into, when you're having that conversation, you wouldn't start talking general information to someone that's interested in a specific subject. So it's all about being able to understand what somebody's interested in, which comes from your manage stage, and then being able to target them with specific information so that they're really kept on the hook, and you're slowly reeling them in. They're interested. And when you have that conversation, they're fully jammed up and they know exactly what you're talking about, or they've been qualified out, which is just as important as well. That makes sense.
No, completely. Nurturing, I talk about touch points in our business. It's about that relationship selling. And you said earlier on, Simon, about bringing people into the business and knowing what you're good at and what other people are good at. It's also about not just about skill set, it's about personality style as well. And you'll find some people are much more naturally gifted at building relationships. Say maybe what I would call a high S or a high I in terms of personality profiling, and there's all sorts of personality profiling software out there, but it's understanding that process. You've got the right people in the right roles in your organization to nurture and to build those relationships. I can think of many people who are brilliant at their job, but I wouldn't necessarily put them in front of a prospect. And so it is about understanding that process, and then getting the right people to do it, to undertake it for you.
Yeah, and I don't want to overcomplicate the nurture stage, but it's one of the steps you can go to later down the line. If you can then understand whether I think you're talking about DISC profiles. If you could understand whether somebody is a D, an I, or an S, or a C, you can then talk to them in the appropriate way, so they'll engage with you much quicker as well.
Yeah.
But it's about understanding those people and those steps that they need to go to get to the point where they become, which neatly leads them into where they become an opportunity, which is the O of now. And in that stage, what's most interesting about the O is that 60% of a person's buying decision is made before they actually reach out to sales. So when somebody's typically reached out to you to have a conversation, they've made over half of their buying. They've made the decision. They've gemmed up. They know. They've researched it. They've done all of this stuff. So if you followed this process so far, you've been nurturing throughout the whole process, and you've been influencing that 60% of the decision. And Popcorn's got some really nice tools in there to track the engagement. So it'll show you when they start to spike. So you can then know when to engage and what to engage around. And that, again, that enables you to focus your time on the hot prospects rather than the lukewarms, which you just need to be nurtured a bit more.
Yes, I was just about to say, it's about knowing when the opportunity, when the opportunity is. I talked earlier on about always be closing, but it's closing at the right time, and understanding. And I can think of clients that we've worked with where we've had a conversation with them for over a year before it's been the right time for them to engage with us here at Action Coach. And we understand that it's about the right time and also the right coach in my business. It's about building that relationship, but in it is about nurturing that conversation, nurturing that opportunity, and waiting for that right moment for both you and them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And your clients will respect you more for that. And you go back to your know, like, trust analogy from earlier in the conversation. If they respect you more, they're more likely to buy from you. Because if you aren't trying to sell, aren't trying to sell them when they're not ready, no, get that right. If you're trying to sell to them when they're not ready, they just push you away.
Absolutely. Yes, they'll just get their backs up. So it is about building that relationship at the right pace as well. And then so we've got W left.
This is the one bit that most businesses forget or don't prioritize, and it doesn't matter what business they are, whether they're a small one-man band or they're a corporate. It's the one stage. So when you've won a customer, what do you do with them? Because if you to use the old one everyone knows about is mobile phone companies. They put all of their time and effort into winning new business. And when you put your time and effort into winning a new business, the existing customers get frustrated because they go, well, why don't we get such good deals? And then they just move on to the next company to get the next best deal, which doesn't which reduces your retention values and reduces your loyalty. So it's about being able to talk to people in the right way. Again, understand where they are. So again, to use another analogy, it's a bit like when you go and buy a car. If we've taken somebody throughout the PRM now process, they've purchased the car and they absolutely love it and they're really happy. But the last thing they want is for them to get an email, phone call, whatever it is, about, do you want to buy a new car? because they're going to go, well, I'm not interested. They're going to push you away. They're going to switch off. But what you need to do is you need to then go through the process of nurturing them again, because they're going to, if they've had a good experience with you, they're more likely to buy from again, whether that's a service, accessories, or when it comes to buying the next car. So you just talk to them about the relevant information at the relevant times. And that's what the sort of the one stage does. It brings it all together and allows you to nurture and target people so that you get resales. And it's actually 5 times easier to win business from an existing customer than it is a new one. So one is an absolutely vital stage of the process.
Absolutely, and I can think of many examples in many industries. But you talk about the automotive. You know, why are a car sales so keen to sell a servicing package? Why are heating engineers so keen to sell a service package? It's because it's that one stage. It's that nurturing, that continued conversation, that continued relationship. But whatever industry we're in, it's about supporting, continue to engage with those wooden clients. Whether they're buying a product and taking it away, or whether they're continuing to work with you. If a service-based industry, continuing that relationship is so important. Then to go back to the nurture, looking for the next opportunity, and again winning the next sale. It is so important to keep that cycle going.
Yeah, and it kind of ties in nicely, really, because then by doing that, you then just go back into the P stage, the P of PRM now, because then it's just about tying all that information from social media together to see, so you get that bigger picture again about the customer, and it means that everybody's happier and you're doing less work and winning more business.
Yeah. So Simon, all this came out of up here during lockdown, did it? It was that first few weeks of lockdown. Sounds like you were very busy.
Yeah. So we've gone through we've developed a couple of courses around this, but the PRM is one which everybody seems to be relating to. And if
that's available as a course through Popcorn, is it, to delve in a bit more?
Yeah, it's on our website. Please feel free to look at it. It's popcorn.email/PRM now. And hopefully, Steve, you can put that up at the end. But it's completely free. There's no sign up. Just log on to that and you can start accessing it. There's quick bite-sized videos of no more than 5 minutes on each video and a document explaining it in all the detail.
So just repeat that website again. So
popcorn.email/PRM now.
Okay, so it's popcorn.email/PRM now if you're interested. Make sure that link goes onto the feed for this video, this Lunch and Learn. So Simon, it sounds like you're very busy in lockdown then, sort of bringing all this information together and really thinking about how you could add value and perhaps broaden the offering of Popcorn from pre-lockdown. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, completely. I've worked more hours since lockdown than I think I ever have, but it's been worth it. I've invested in the company. I'd like to think now we understand what our customers value about our software and how they use it, and now I talk to them in that way.
And did you have time in the last 12 months to really engage more with your clients and understand what their needs were than perhaps you had before?
Definitely. As I say, in the first part, we kind of switched the whole sales function off, as I've already said, and we focused on customer service. And as well as that, I did it because we've been posting on social media, we've been doing all various bits of other marketing. We've done the whole test and measure. So what's got the most engagement? We've been looking at which posts people have responded to. So we've now started talking in a slightly different way. And what that means is the customers understand it now. And we get inquiries now from businesses who are more interested in what we actually do. So they're a better fit for us, which again is bringing back, we've nurtured people to the point of opportunity. Mm-hmm. And now it means that when I'm having a conversation with somebody, they actually understand and I'm not having to sell to them as much.
Mm-hmm. And have you noticed over the last 12 months, Simon, that you've had to change how you've talked about PRM now? We start off with that, that posting, that initial engagement with the prospect. In terms of your marketing, has that changed over the last 12 months to go and find those prospects? Are you doing things differently? Have you, are you engaging more digitally than you ever have before? I mean, obviously you and I have met through face-to-face networking marketing. So I know that's taken a change for the last 12 months, but what have you done differently to really find those prospects?
So I think the key thing is, as I sort of mentioned earlier, we were very much outbound before. So I was going to networking events, I was talking to people, we were emailing people out, we were then following up those calls, making more calls out to people, and that was our strategy previously in simple terms. What we've done now is we've become more inbound.
So yes, we're still doing that stuff we've done previously. Hence, we're still talking about and we're still meeting up when we can. But what we've done is because we've listened to and understood what our customers need, we've been able to start talking about what they're giving them answers to what their questions are. And a great book for anybody out there that wants to learn about this is a book called They Ask You Answer. I don't know if you've come across that one, Steve.
No, I've got another one, because questions are the answers. Alan Pease.
Okay.
Similar ilk, I should think.
Yeah, but it's basically, if you understand what your customers' problems are and you start answering it across all the mediums, you're automatically addressing them, and then people start coming into you. So we're doing a lot more of that. We've developed 2 courses now, because we've realized that people were, the way they were using the software, they weren't getting the full benefit, but also they were spending all this time on social media and not getting much return. Well, they were getting return, but things were dropping through the gaps.
Yes,
and they started moving from it. So we thought, well, let's upskill people so that they do the social media and still do the same work, but they get more sales from it. And that's exactly what we've done.
And so, Simon, is there anything you've made huge changes to your business over the last 12 months?
Completely, yeah.
What does the future look like for you now? You said you've got a plan of where you want to be. If I was talking to Simon in 2031, what would you be saying to me, Simon?
2031, I would like to think I'll be on a beach somewhere. No, so the plan is to grow. I've got quite ambitious growth. We've focused, historically, we've focused on growing the platform on a comfortable level. With version 3 that's going to be launched in May, that's geared up for volume. So we're going to be bringing on a lot more customers. We're going to be ramping up all our marketing. We're going to build a team around it, and we're just going to drive this business forwards.
Fantastic. It's really important, isn't it? To have that vision, and have that vision that you can use to motivate those people that you bring into the business as well. To really engage them, and to be able to tell a story and share that vision in a way that everyone wants to be part of it. So it's good to know where you're going to be in 2031. I look forward to phoning you up, or well, you won't be phoning by then. We have some new device that we don't even know exists at the moment.
We'll teleport.
We'll teleport you to the beach. You can teleport me to the bar, and we'll have that pint that we've been hanging for so long now, when we next catch up. But Simon, it's been really interesting, not only listening to your journey, pre-COVID, pre-lockdown, but also how you've maximized, and it's brilliant. It's just so inspiring. You've maximized the opportunity that many, many business owners have been, sort of longing for over the last 12 months. And I say that in the full knowledge that there's probably some people thinking, goodness me, the last 12 months have been awful. And I have, and hopefully, today's budget, will demonstrate there's some support there, for the continued support for businesses to get through this. And I know there have been casualties on the way for businesses, but, for many business owners, it's presented them with an opportunity to perhaps pivot and think about where are they on that journey and how can they pivot and how can they change. And I know many business owners who've really been dragged kicking and screaming, but now realize that dragging into the 21st century in terms of how they operate the business, how they can maximize use of technology and really transform and make sure they're fit for purpose going forwards.
Very much so. I agree with you completely. I would say it's part of the technology side. It's about get what's right for you in place, not get what's right for you now. And this is whether it's CRM, PRM, whatever it is, whatever bit of software you're talking about. Don't get something in place that's right for you in 2-5 years, because you may not get to 2-5 years. Get something that's right for you now is one of the key things.
Absolutely. And as I was saying a moment ago, there's been challenges, and those in the hospitality, retail sectors, etc. There've been winners and losers in business over the last 12 months. But I do hope that we can all work to support each other to make sure that as many of us as possible survive and go on to thrive post lockdown and post COVID. And it's just been really inspiring hearing about your journey, Simon, and really wish you the best of luck as we work through 2021. I say it's March already. I just don't know where the year's going so quickly.
It's very go on.
No, so it was this time last year. I remember driving up to Birmingham because I was based down in the south, and commuting up to Birmingham on a Tuesday to hear that the news we need to go home and stay and work from home. It's just hard to believe it's been a year that's passed.
I know it's scary. One thing which I found quite an interesting exercise, and it's nice that you asked the question, is we've all, and I'm sure I'm not on my own in how we worked on the business in whatever way we've done it, but we've all put an awful lot of work into it. And when you're working that hard on a business, you often don't realize your successes. And it's something I did at the start of this year. Was I just took a morning out to look at my achievements, and from where we were to where we are now. And the simple one is, if I just look at the figures and the staffing, that's a real direct reflection of growth. But more important, just look at the wins you've got and don't beat yourself up for what you haven't achieved. Just focus on what you can achieve.
Absolutely. And I talk to many clients, Simon, and maybe I said in networking, we need to, as you said, be present in our business. We need to focus on the here and now. But also it is important to look back, not only to learn. We look back for two reasons. One, to learn, from our mistakes and the challenges, but also the second reason is to celebrate success and just take that moment to pause and see how far we all have come. And in all that's going on in life at the moment, we're almost living in a whirlwind, aren't we? But it is important to pause and look back. It's also important to look forward, not only to plan, but to have that clear vision, those goals, so we know where we're going. But then we need to focus right here, right now. And as you said earlier, getting the right systems and the right processes in your business that work for you as you are now is really important. So, great. We're on the same page there. But it's been great having you with us here right now, Simon, and really enjoy you. Really grateful for you giving up your time this lunchtime on Wednesday. I know you're going to come back in the future, I hope, and tell us a bit more about PRM now and CRM, and you by then you've probably come up with RRM or something else, and some other acronym. But it's great that you're always thinking about that next step and how you can support small businesses. And again, great to hear the news of your awards, and congratulations on those. Very, very much well deserved.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. If there's anything we can do to help any of your listeners, even if it's just some advice, feel free. Let's get them to reach out to me, and I'll happily give some pointers to people around PRM and that stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah, Simon's contact details on the screen. If there's anything you want to talk to Simon about in terms of, client management systems, CRM, go through again. It's just to repeat that email address or the website address is popcorn.email/PRM now. There's some free e-courses Simon was saying on that website. Please do go and investigate. And I'm sure Simon would love to have that conversation just to talk to you a bit more about what's going on up here and his thoughts and how his business can perhaps support your business and work in partnership together.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for this, Steve. I've really enjoyed it.
No problem at all. And equally, if you're listening to us today and think, actually, what is coaching all about? Simon, you said earlier on, it can be quite lonely owning and running your own business. We are here to support. We'd like to offer everybody who's listening to this today a free coaching session, a free business health check. We've got our Lunch and Learn webinars every Monday and every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. And also we have our 30X program. That's 30 mini workshops in bite size over 15 hours, 30 half-an-hour sessions, a 90-day planning workshop, accountability coaching sessions, all for £30 a week, including VAT, with no contract. So if that appeals to you, if you're applying for a grant to grow your business, to get your business reopened and back on track, and you think some coaching and some support working alongside would help, please do get in touch. We'd love to talk to you about our 30X program. And of course, for Simon and myself, please do connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever platform you're listening to us this lunchtime. We'd love to have that conversation, either virtually or over the phone. That's what we're here to do. So it's been great having you with us, Simon. Look forward to the next time we can catch up. Hopefully it's not too long before we can stand at the bar with a pint in our hands, however far apart.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Sorry, go on.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely, and we need to all hold on to that. There's been a challenge. It's been a challenging 12 months. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. I had my jab 10 days ago. Still standing, fighting strong, and it's rolling out to all of us. And I hope it's not too long. If you've not had yours, you get yours, and we can start to realize that new norm and work to grow our business even more. But for now, it's been great having you listen to us. Thank you again, Simon, and we look forward to you joining us again next Monday on our Lunch and Learn sessions. But for now, stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Thanks.
Take care now. Bye-bye.